Alright, so Lion of all trades here in the Lion's Den. Welcome back, fam, to another video. This is going to be brief and just FYI, this is for educational, research, and entertainment purposes, even though there's not much entertainment in the subject of that matter. And I'm just going to quickly talk about oil. And so you already know what the deal is. You already know what's been happening this past week. The big surge in oil from as low as 55.34 back in the beginning of May to the big surge that happened here this past Wednesday, June 11th, from $64, almost $65 and change per barrel, to as high as 77.58 on Thursday, June 12th, to then cool down afterwards, but then bounce off that 20 SMA and then retest over the 9 SMA on the 4-hour chart. So it could be possibly looking for another rebound, and maybe there is some news aligning with this narrative to where perhaps there could be another imminent attack. Who knows? Could the news of the U.S. now getting involved in the Iran war also make things a lot more tense? But here, just a few hours ago, Reuters Business posted this, which said that U.S. stocks closed higher as oil prices retreated after the Israel-Iran attacks left crude production and exports unaffected, easing investor concerns about the potential for higher energy prices to stoke inflation. But then again, things can change out of the blue, and as soon as you know it, something happens, and then there's another surge like all of a sudden you see a big surge, and then we're back to where we were this past Thursday at around $75 per barrel. But that's just my opinion, not financial advice. Not only that, but then we did have an interesting article here. I know this is random, but here on oilprice.com, written by Charles Kennedy. I'm just going to give you a little brief. So Iraq's May oil exports to the U.S. surged past 5 million barrels. So Iraq's crude oil exports to the United States surged past 5 million barrels in May, marking Baghdad's highest monthly volume to U.S. refiners so far this year, according to Iraqi news. The surge reflects sustained U.S. appetite for heavier Middle Eastern grades, with Iraqi crude averaging between 160,000 and 190,000 barrels per day last month. So, let's see what else is happening here in related news. What is this here? Baker Hughes reports normal operations despite Middle East tensions. Okay. Anyways, back to crude oil. As a matter of fact, I'm just gonna get right to it and show you the deal here, because what I noticed is that there are two, as a matter of fact, three of the stocks that I have mentioned that are volatile especially when crude oil tends to rise, like it actually did here. I want to say today, since 10 in the morning, when it actually rised back from 67.83 to as high as 72.10 by 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time a few hours ago. And that caused some of these stocks to rise during the after hours. And MARPS, which I have talked about before, somehow around 4 in the morning, let me just go to the 5-minute chart here, had a huge, I want to say a huge rally, a huge rip. I don't know what to call this, but this thing was trading at around 450, 460 around there. And then all of a sudden, it started picking up in volume around 7 in the morning Eastern Time. And then it started popping like crazy at 7:15, where it went from 4.99 to as high as 9.35. Then that candle came back down to then reverse, and then all of a sudden by 7:30, this thing popped so much from as low as 576 to as high as 1369 before this came back down and pretty much erased all the gains from that point to then consolidate around 6.90, $7 to as high as 8.40 or 8. Well, this said 8.76 here, and then it came down and then started to fall under 7, and then under 6, and eventually it just started consolidating around the $5 to $6 range until the end of after market hours. So that was crazy, and there isn't any news about this. But the only thing I can think of is what oil did here. Let me see if it surged. If this surged around 7:15 in the morning, let me see. Let me look at oil one more time. 7 in the morning. 7 in the morning. Well, there wasn't really much activity happening with crude oil, so I think MARPS ran via other sentiment or some type of insider buy. Who knows? We can speculate all we want. But not only MARPS, but INDO. INDO dropped today at negative 22.97%. And INDO was trading as high as $6, ranging, somewhere between 5 and 6. Then after market open, it sold. Well, before market open, it sold off all the way as low as 369 at 10:40 in the morning, and then rose back up and swung up and down here until around that same time, 7:30 p.m., where there was a big surge. And again, this also tracks with oil at the same time. So if you look at here, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, you have oil out of nowhere just starting to pump up volume and started ripping up in 25 minutes. You see oil from as low as 69.60 to as high as 71.44, and then eventually reaching as high as 72.10. So yeah, so this is pretty much the reaction from INDO, seeing $4 to all the way as 5.34 was the high, and it looks like it wanted to also break back up and then break out of that resistance and then head to higher numbers. So yeah, INDO has definitely been very, very volatile in this case. And not only that, but HUSA was down and closed negative 32.27% to $10.60 from a high of 13.88. But look at this. Same situation here at around 7:30 where HUSA was trading at 10.34, and this rised all the way as high as $14.74. So something is happening here. Maybe short interest related, I don't know, but it's definitely influenced by oil. There could be something on the way. So if oil again decides to bump up and rise, make a recovery, and then all of a sudden we see another surge, if there's any other news or maybe some type of conflict, I don't know, but we have to definitely keep a close eye, because if that happens, and if we do see oil surge up again and break past 73 to 75 later on down the road, and especially we have FOMC rates decision, interest rates could be cut in speculation by 50 points. That's a rumor here. I'm not sure if this is for real, but due to that, and perhaps commodities ripping once again due to those factors, you might have to check those stocks for research purposes and see how they move along with oil if it does decide to rip. So that is all that I have for now, and so I'm gonna end it at that. I didn't want to make the video too long. I just wanted to fit in as much as I can. Not much, but again, there's always a lot of information out there to follow through and follow up with. So with that being said, I'll leave you with that, and I'll just see you with the next video, or I'll see you tomorrow morning with the stream to watch the markets and enjoy the lo-fi music. So yeah, much love to everybody. Show some love to the channel, to Lion's Den, and this is LionOfAllTradez signing out. Take care of yourself and good luck tomorrow in the markets. Peace out.